She went out because she wanted to do another little fence area, and she wanted to make sure she has the material so she can do something. You know?
Well, yeah.
It's like you want also art.
I've got the end pieces attached, the 2x10s, and now I'm going to try to clean up this quote-unquote live edge. In order to clean up the transition between the 2x10 and the 2x6s, I used a belt sander with a 60 grit paper, and I was able to literally just carve away that edge here and make a transition. Now I'll hit it with the palm sander to give it a little bit more of a natural look. I switched over to an 80 grit sandpaper on the belt sander, and now what I'm doing is getting these boards to line up smoothly. There's a little bit of a lip here. I can feel it right here. It's probably about a 32nd, and I've already worked on it a little bit. Got a big gap right here to work on, and another big one right there. I've got the table sanded down with a 120 grit palm sander, and I've got all the seams pretty smooth. I mean, they're pretty good. Now, there are some places where I really had to be aggressive to go at it, so I can feel some dips with my fingers. But I think I'll use the excuse that gives it the rustic look. Anyways, the next step is I've got some splitting here, or some cracks. See, I used a hand planer to flatten down these edges, and if I had had a real jointer, I could have actually made these boards square. So the problem that I have is that there was a slight crown to that board right here, this board, and as a result, I have a gap here, and I have a little gap here. And if I look around, there's a lot of little gaps. Now, I could go crazy, I suppose, and fill everything, and I probably will. So what I've done is I've collected some sawdust from the sander I've been using. I'm going to mix it with a little bit of Elmer's glue and make my own wood filler. Even though I really want to fill up all of the cracks in the table, I decided to get smart and do a test first. So I just mixed some Titebond 3, which is outdoor weatherproof or waterproof glue, with sawdust that I created while sanding. And I'm going to let this dry, sand it down, and see how it works out. I just sanded off the excess from the wood filler that I created, and I'm not real happy with it. It creates a dark gap. It's not the same color as the sawdust. I thought it was going to be the same color, but for some reason it gets dark. And if I'm going to have something dark, then I might as well just leave a gap. It was also rather difficult to sand off the excess, the over smear, so to speak. And I was able to get it off, but I'm afraid that if I, it creates just a very, very slight divot that you can kind of feel with your hands if you're looking for it. You can't see it, but it bothers me a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rest of the gaps on hold. I'm going to ask you guys for comments and questions, and of course suggestions as to what the best wood filler would be to use on the tabletop. I'm really looking for something that I can fill these gaps with, and the biggest gap is probably about 1/16 of an inch. It doesn't necessarily have to be stainable or paintable, but I do need something that's going to blend in as good as possible. Guys, give me your suggestions as far as the best wood filler product that I could use for this. And thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Try to make the best of your self-quarantine or your shelter in place if you're under such a condition. And we will catch you in the next video.